Are you making pickles?
We have a few projects that are coming up. Pickling is one of them.
Because everything I Google here, I'm getting okra pickles.
They're very big in the South, in the U.S.
Well, that's one thing I don't see here a lot. And I think that pickling has tremendous potential for preserving locally and all the other different things. But this has product lines. And something like this, if you pickle it, you can sell food service. Understand?
Yeah.
Because this is, you're talking about edamame.
Yeah.
You're getting into hybrid little tidbits for rich people, so to speak. But the okra aspect of things is very interesting. And I'll tell you this, you guys are mentioning the slime on there. My instinct, which is fairly good, tells me that slime has properties. Okay? I don't know what it is, and I haven't even investigated it yet. But without the slime, is less. And
It's nothing.
well, no, it's not. This is also very similar to, in India. India has, back 10 years ago, they had 38,000 hectares of mulungai. But what they call it is, they call it the drumstick tree. Why? Because almost all the 38,000 hectares are dedicated to long pods, PKM1 or PKM2, that they cut and bottle just like asparagus, okay? And that's the huge business there. They do very little with the leaf, mostly with the pods. But this is very similar to that. And the properties of the mulungai pods are, I bet they're quite similar in nature to okra and all. But it's interesting. Have you looked at this? Have you looked at the value of the slime?
Yes, I actually did. The enzyme, that slime, is probably the most, where all the vitamins and nutrition comes from. So that's the most, like I said, that's the most important aspect of the fruit itself.
Why don't you just make it juice?
Actually, we're going to be I'm sure you've seen this on Facebook with the okra water diabetic testimonies. So we're now starting to process okra water for multivitamin.
Okra water means it's not as slimy as the juice. The juice is
No,
slimy.
it means we're going to extract the slime
Yeah.
and then kind of treat it to make it not slimy. And you can it's a multivitamin that you take 1 cup a day.
Why don't you why can't you just sell the slime as juice?
I don't know if it's going to be palatable in the mouth, So.
Well, that's what gives it its taste. That's why they buy it because of that.
Again, let me say something to you. If you have a mechanism by which you can extract the slime, okay, you don't want to be drying it. You want to be freezing it. You want to be freezing the slime, okay?
We can talk
And then
after,
we can
sir.
send it to Ramon, and he can take it, in an ice cube with these things. But the issue is, I don't know how you're going to extract the slime, okay, and not have it migrate, homogenize with other things.
Yes, that's true.
But look at the pickle. Really, look at everyone who's here. Look at the pickling thing. The southern people go nuts over it.
Yes, they do.
And if you start to, say you put in Korean kimchi sauce or something like that, and you do these different products, whatever. You can even make salsas or whatever it may be. It's a very, very interesting thing.
Yes.
Would you, from Tarlac, would you like to say something or ask?
Next time I see you, I'll bring some okra pickles.
Bring me some slime.
Sir, I am interested about the varieties. As you mentioned a while ago, the greedy.
Greedy
How
part.
about other varieties? I would like also to ask if, because I went 3 months ago at La Paz and I saw aqua
Yes.
plantation there, and they are not so high, but as if they are dwarf okra.
Yes.
Okay, so that okra are all came from Taiwan.
Yeah, actually, different exporters use different seeds. So, in La Paz area, that's not our areas. That's more of Hylas and Green Star. So they're different exporters. We're more focused in Barangay San Manuel and Matayum-Tayum, so more on the other side. But we're only planting green.
Green.
That's it.
Right.
Greeny bright.
You don't have a processing plant in your area? No.
No.
No, we because I have some field technicians that graduated from Tarlac University. They say you guys do experimentation
Yeah.
in school.
Especially those our undergrad
Yes.
students.
Yes.
Okay, so
We're actually looking to hire more, so please send them my
Oh,
way.
yeah, good. I have from your school.
And also, I am interested also what is the distance of planting for that particular variety.
Well, it depends po. Kasi okra is a photosynthesis plant, so it needs to have a certain sunlight. So it depends on the planting stage. But I can send you information for your students. Yes. No problem.
Give your calling card. Okay. Your calling card? Yeah, okay. Go ahead. Okay.
Hi. One of the things I think that was really impressive that you guys have done was actually have all these farmers working for you under your scheme. My question is, how did you get them onto your scheme and prevent them from, say, from performing their arbitrage practices when the spot price on the trading centers go up? Because as you know, farmers have this own mindset of just following the market price, right? At the trading center, when the price of the good goes up, they make a big buck. It goes down, sometimes below production cost, too bad. But they seem to not want to deviate from that system. So how do you keep them in line? How do you keep them onto your system? And how do you,
Yeah, sure. I know that's one of the biggest questions that we get because from all the exporters, we're actually united into one organization, which is the Philippine Okra Exporters. It's called POPEA. So it's an association. So it's composed of the 5 players of the okra exporters. So from there, once a year, we have an annual seminar, which our farmers get accredited for that planting season. So for example, your farmers, you have a list of all your farmers. I have a list of all my farmers. So when we go to the seminar, all the farmers get accredited. So your farmer cannot transfer to me, or my farmer cannot transfer to you. And there's guidelines and protocols. So if your farmer sells to me, then your farmer, if we catch him, he gets banned for the whole year. He can't grow okra anymore. So there's certain rules and guidelines from this association.
Is that what's called leapfrogging? Leapfrogging or did they leapfrog?
No.
Pole vault, sorry,
Pole
pole vault, sorry. Pole vault.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, pole vault.
No, so there's a certain guidelines, that's implemented, and we're also connected with BPI, Bureau of Land, food safety. But as far as trying to control them, you have to develop a certain relationship with them. For me, I'm very active, so I know my farmers, their kids, their children, their sons, daughters, and stuff like this. So it's more of a personal thing for me. I try to, communicate with them on a daily basis, and by doing that, I kind of ensure their loyalty to me. And I also pay the highest price out of all my exporters, because of the standards that we're trying to produce. So the loyalty is there. But the most important is the relationship. If you can't develop the proper relationship with them, then the trust is kind of hard to penetrate. But thank God it's just an amazing that we have so many people, so many farmers, and everybody's in sync. It's a crazy operation, and it's I can't really give credit to us or the staff workers or the management, it's truly a blessing. So,
You first, you go ahead, you first.
Uh,
About the question of Ma'am from Tarlac University earlier. So we've been at the field also from La Paz Tarlac, but we noticed that they were dwarf. But it's not really dwarf because the green variety, you can still harvest it as early as 45 days from planting. So it's just about half a meter. So the farmers are harvesting by that time, 45 days after planting. But the smooth type of okra, you can harvest it around 1.5 months. So marami ka nakita doon sa Japanese type of okra. And then you are still waiting for the smooth type to flower, so before harvesting. But the green type, you can reach to as high as 1.5 meters before it will be terminated for the next planting season. And then also with regards to the promotion of okra, as what Ma'am Nina earlier is mentioning, that the local consumers prefer the smooth type rather than the rich type or the Japanese type of okra. Maybe because they are still not familiar with the Japanese type. All we have to do is to promote it, and then by the time those companies are ready to sell it to the local market is now willing to accept it as it is. So we are trying to help out with regards to the promotion of this rich type of okra. So if you come by the Institute of Plant Breeding, University of the Philippines, Los Baños, so you can message me anytime, and then I can give you limited seeds, few seeds for your backyard. So you will be able to appreciate it more para po mas makita nyo kung ano talaga yun. So,
Ma'am,
Is it-
can you come work for me, ma'am? Can you?
But do you have a seed store?
we have some seeds to give away just to promote it, but not really to sell it because because we are still on the promotion side of it, and
When can you do it for commercial? For them to do commercial?
We are still testing it, sir, but no, we are trying to produce an open pollinated variety so that local farmers will have an option other than the hybrid seeds later on.
But you're only doing it for consumption purposes.
Yes po, we are doing it for consumption purposes and for consumers to appreciate it more. So, and then, kasi po, because within our group, within our institute, we have been trying to promote this type of okra, and they are very much willing to try it, and so kumukuha po sila ng seed sa amin para sa kanilang bahay.
Okay. Yes.
We are talking about okra. I'd like to talk about obra, which is work. We have existing laws, labor laws, that hamper the development of agriculture. For example, the new law on endo, which prohibits the labor-only contracting. It will look like that your contract growers are only doing labor-only contracting, and therefore under the law is prohibited. In fact, they say now that if you employ somebody for about 6 months, after that he becomes regular. That means he is going to be covered by all Social Security, ECC, and all that. So there is a big case now in Del Monte, in Mindanao, where their cooperatives are owning millions and they have equipment, but the Department of Labor consider them as contract labor and therefore has been asking the dole to make them regular employees. Now, you know that if you have to be regular employees, you have to pay the minimum wage for agriculture, including security of tenure, which means social security benefit. So I just want to find out because that's one of the constraints that I am facing now in La Union because I am advocate for bamboo and how to treat those working with us. If they are, because the Department of Labor says, if they are contract labor or you got them for Pacquiao system, what they have to receive should be at least the minimum wage for that day. Even if you pay them by Pacquiao or by weight or by
Actually, po, we're not doing the Pacquiao system. Ever since this law passed, we just finished our season. So in the next season, all workers will be under the company umbrella. So we're going to take away the contract growing, develop admin, so turn them into admin farms. And as far as the wages are concerned, now we're already paying $350 per worker, po, even the field workers. So they have 250 pesos daily and then 100 peso allowance per day for food. So, we had to switch to the new system because, we have about 3,000 plus employees. So if they start complaining next season, then we're going to be in big trouble. So that's why we started moving to that direction now.
But these employees own the land that they're on.
Some farmers own the land, yes. Before, when my father started the business, we had the option to buy the lands. But his concept was if you buy the land, then you don't have farmers. So what we do is when we grow for the farmer, we pay for their land. So we give them a land rental. And plus they can grow their crop, they sell us their product, and then we buy it. So it's double income for them. So
What are the implications of this law?
implication here, it will increase your cost. Because if they have to be regular employees after continuous work of 6 months, then you have to pay all the social security benefit. You even have to pay overtime. You have to pay now. The maternity leave is now what? 6 months. So when you add all this, your costs go up. Huh?
Yes, Bob. Actually, it was. So what we did was, we have to give them an actual output. So we justified their output per day, based on the salary. So even though the costs go up, the production goes higher. So you're just kind of matching that side by side.
Because one of the legal implication there is employer-employee relationship.
Yeah.
Employer-employee relationship.
Well,
That is really going to be a little bit costly.
That will discourage the farming. Is that right? Yeah, you raise the cost. Yeah.
You just have to have the counter effect to it, so you have to adjust and try to see, because if it's not feasible, then you shouldn't have the business.
Because this would have been ideally tailored to the land reform program because all the farms are small. No? But if you go back into employer-employee, it's like a plantation all over again, which might be good because you might have scale economies. That's how you can generate scale economies. Is that right? Okay. My question is this particular approach. How feasible is it to apply in other types of vegetable products?
Number one, you have to see the foundation of the business. Because for us, we're harvesting every day. So, for example, for field workers, they have to we set an output because of the wage increase. So that means they have to hit the target every single day. So for us, it's kind of easy to manipulate and adjust to the system. But as far as other crops that you're going to do one big harvest or one-time harvest, I'm not sure. I can't really answer that question.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
For the guy you've contracted who owns the land, let's say if I have a hectare and I'm the farmer, I'm the real one who digs up the soil and irrigates it and so on, how much does he really make? I mean, from the produce selling this to you? I mean, I think if we're trying to encourage the young ones to get into farming,
Yeah.
it's got to be something very meaningful. Like, can he make the land generate, or for him, a profit, a net profit of, let's say, more than 500,000 a year annually, so that actually gets him out of the loop that we have with respect to employer-employee relationship. I wouldn't want to be your employee if I'm making more.
Yeah, I understand that. The generation depends, so it depends on the care of the farmer, especially if they own the land. Like the minimum is like 60,000, and that's if you don't own the land.
60 a year?
60 for in 75 days.
75 days.
Okay, so that's about 2 months. Right? So then, but the maximum you can yield is about 150 to 175 days. That's per hectare.
Per hectare.
I have a farmer. He grows for me 30 hectares a year. His gross sales is 35 million. That's just one farm.
Per 75 days.
That's 1 year.
1 year.
Yeah,
Okay.
because he's growing 30 hectares of land, in a staggered planting. His sales are very high.
But who owns the land in that case?
He owns about 40% of the land,
40% of the actual physical land.
out of the 30. So he owns 40% of the land.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
No, I'm just about to say, why won't you consider, you can consider putting up a co-op.
We do, but we have a problem.
So that's exempts in the labor, okay, contract.
Yeah.
If you have a co-op. Yeah.
That's it for. As a nation called Philippines. They are cooperatives by the millions. But they are considered as labor-only contractors by the Department of Labor.
That's a new law that just passed, I think, this year.
The laws like this tend to increase unemployment.
I know. Instead of helping.
Okay. Go ahead.
I would like to go back to the preservation technology because we talked about pickling, freezing. There's also something quite interesting now that's fairly new. I don't think there's a machine like this in the Philippines. It's called HPP, high pressure processing. So what it does is, let's say you have like orange juice, right? You put it through HPP, and if you chill it, it can last up to 60 days instead of 1 week, which is the normal shelf life. So we were talking about the properties of the slime. If you can make something like aqua water or something, you could actually put it through HPP and preserve it for a long time so people can benefit from it. So I'm sure we'll talk more about it.
Thanks, John. That's why we're a feature partner.
But it's an interesting technology that I think Philippines needs one of these machines because you can actually use it for seafoods, meats, and
Where can you buy this machine?
the leading countries doing this machine are Norway and Spain. There's a company in the US. Problem is the machine costs like $2 million US.
What's the machine?
Is it
High pressure processing.
is
So
that a freezing for freezing? No.
No, it's so we're all familiar with pasteurization, right? So pasteurization, you cook the product, and the problem is it kills everything. So it heats it up to 80 to 100 degrees. It kills the good and the bad. HPP kills only the bad, and it leaves the good enzymes. So let's say your cold press orange juice, when you drink it, you get all the good properties related to it, and you don't actually lose anything. Like the mango juice we're drinking today, which is pasteurized, you're basically just drinking syrup. Yeah, exactly. There are no good properties.
Are you talking about hyperbaric high pressure?
Excuse me.
Exactly, yeah, hyperbaric.
Can I help please?
I am involved with the Mango Growers Foundation, and the president, Virginia De La Fuente, informed us that we are negotiating to buy that equipment for mangoes. So I think we can refer and ask Virginia De La Fuente, the president of the President Mango Growers Association of the Philippines, because we have already negotiated to buy and import this for mango.
But that equipment cannot be fabricated here.
No,
there are only a few companies in the world who have the Chinese do it. I'm actually selling my puree to a company in Hong Kong who has Chinese machines, but the maintenance cost is very high because they don't have the correct technology. They just copied it, so that's the problem.
Can I go back to my original question?
Yes.
What other vegetables can fit this pattern, this approach?
That's maybe vegetables that you're harvesting minimum 3 to 4 times a week.
3 to 4 times a year.
A week,
A week?
yeah.
Okay.
So tomatoes, maybe eggplant. Just depends, you know, sile. So it just depends. You kind of initially want to target. You have your initial, target, which what you will yield. So from there, you just have to calculate a certain output, that you can spread out to be able to match the price increase. But
Your hyperbaric, I'm just looking at the hyperbaric things, and there are machines like this and everything else. You say 60-day shelf life. Are you changing anything in the composition? If I take this and do this, will this come out at the end of the thing as like this?
Actually, how it works is you need to put the juice or whatever in a plastic packaging. You can't put this because it compresses everything. It's high.
So it's not for fresh vegetables. It's for processing. So why wouldn't you just freeze?
Because freezing is very not every.
Not everybody has a good cold chain system, and not everybody has like capacity for a freezer, let's say. So by doing this, you just have the bottle and you just need to chill it. The costs are way lower than freezing.
So hold on a second. Once you put this through the chamber and you bottle it, okay, do you have to refrigerate it afterwards?
For juice, yes, you need to refrigerate it.
So you need continuous cold chain.
Or just chilling.
But you're saying that the enzymes, because normal refrigeration on something like papaya leaf juice,
Yes.
the enzymes will degrade after 5 or 6 days. So you're telling me that you can take this and you can put it in a hyperbaric chamber and you can get 60 days out of it?
Well, of course, it depends on the product.
If it's continually refrigerated
Yeah.
for 60 days?
Yeah. I don't know what the product is like. Let's say orange juice, yes. So because I don't know the decomposing rate of the papaya, let's say. So for orange juice, they say you can use 6.
So each and every thing has a different time span?
Yeah. So the purpose of this, let's say you freeze a product, you still need to pasteurize it before you freeze it. So by pasteurizing, you kill everything, right?
So milk.
Yes.
Okay. One of the problems with milk and pasteurization, the main value of milk is the blood cells. Because when a baby suckles, the microbes get ingested. White blood cells rush to microphiles, they envelop them, the milk goes from white to yellow. Now, if you could use hyperbaric, even cow's milk, all cow's milk works the same way. If you can get rid of pasteurization, which kills all the blood cells, okay, and replace it with this, the milk value would be enormously valuable.
Yeah, I agree. I'm no expert on this technology. I just know about it, but according to what I've read, it doesn't work for milk. It's meat, seafoods, and juices. Those are the main uses.
I'd have to look at that and see if
Okay.
it's real news.
Yes, Mr. Action.
Yeah.
I have a question which Fernandez from the Old Transport Network to be asking. Regarding your shipping of your product, I understand that it has to be done very quick turnover. You have to ship it fast. How critical is the Clark Air Base to you, Clark Airport? Do you do your own in-house transporting, or do you have your contracted brokerage?
Well, we
What
deal
is that?
with a logistics company, but as far as our trucks deliver to the airport. So we're really super blessed to have Clark now opened up because that's only 45 minutes away from our factory. But yet, instead before we had to go all the way to Manila. So as far as logistics wise, that made so much sense for us. So we try to absorb as much as we can in Clark, but sometimes we're using passenger planes. So we're allocated a certain amount of weight per passenger plane. So it depends on how many passengers are coming in. But before the passengers come, we have the first priority to book as much weight as we can. So it just depends. Depends on the airline. But we're just dealing with one freight forward.
So it will be in time for the next day's lunch in Japan, is that it?
Yes, breakfast early in the morning.
Breakfast. It's a breakfast dish.
No, it's actually lunch or dinner. I don't think breakfast. Maybe breakfast. I'm not sure.
Anytime.
Anytime.
I eat 3 times a day.
Yeah. Okay, yes, go ahead. Just wait for the mic, please. Wait for the mic.
Now I understand yung marching order ng the father of Jeff. Do everything you can, try to follow what I did. But above all, just follow God, observe God. Now, trivia. While we were in the last part of our trip in Bangkok, there was a tour in Bangkok. And we had to go to this big area where there is the sitting Buddha, the standing Buddha, everybody go there. And everybody went there. Brian and me, and he stayed behind. You know why? Because I was able to convince Jeff na baka idolatry yan. Dito na lang tayo, magdasal na lang tayo dito. They will see all kinds of Buddha. I've seen already all kinds of Buddha. And so we stayed behind. And we did our prayers right there at our minivan. And that is why I remember, yun pala, why he followed me, because otherwise he would, young as he is, he's also interested to see. But he stayed behind the minivan and we just prayed in the minivan. So that's just the trivia, because I was wanting to see that during the introduction. I did not do that because of time limitation. And so I am very happy to have come here tonight and learn. And hopefully I can also share with you some other time, maybe a month from now or 2, because I think that I have many things to share with you also.
Okay. Any other questions or points? Anybody else? Yes, go ahead. Just wait for the mic, please.
Yeah, it seems your efforts are mostly you're geared to the Japanese market. Well, hopefully that continues. In Japan continues to source from us. But in the world, in this world, everything's very competitive, and people are, because of free trade, they can shift suppliers from one country to the other. Now, maybe you should try to explore through your culinary expertise. Try to develop more dishes, local dishes that would be utilizing okra. Just like what the Japanese probably have done, because they have more dishes that utilizes okra. So I assume the per kilo, if you have any statistics, the consumption of the Japanese, for example, as compared to a Filipino kilo per year, how many kilos of okra does a Filipino eat as against a Japanese? There must be an explanation for that, no? for that thing. And I think you people who have also a culinary background should try to develop local market, culinary market, local restaurants. For example, can you convince Mang Inasal? As an example, Mang Inasal, to incorporate an okra in their CC or whatever, or PD, their chicken. No? So things like this, you can broaden your market because as I see it, it looks like the well-organized okra is a profitable crop for farmers and for rice farmers to shift to because with this rice tarification law, another government thing, things can also change in the rice industry. The farmers might have a harder time now against Vietnamese rice. So they are looking for alternative crops. And if you develop the market for the okra in a broader scale, much more than export, but also for domestic through culinary things, then we can have a better agricultural industry. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. Thank you.
Okay. Any other comments? Yes, can you go through the process of the edamame? What is the process, please?
Well, the process for the edamame, it's very similar to how we're treating okra. So the only issues with edamame, it takes about 70 days to harvest. So just a little bit longer than okra. And for the harvesting, you harvest 3 days. So within the first harvest is about 60% of the whole population of the plants. And then it goes 20% and 20% because there's still beans that haven't fully matured yet, so it takes a few days to process it. As far as the whole technical side with the processing, it's the same process: washing, sorting, quality inspection.
Okay, go ahead.
With the edamame, is that something that you do to intercrop with your okra? Because if you keep monocrop, a process that you use up the soil, you can be using up the nutrients of the soil faster. But the edamame is high protein. So is that something that you would suggest that you intercrop with your okra?
Well, for our organization, we're not allowed to intercrop any other crops because for export, for example, edamame, a certain chemical is used for edamame, which cannot be used for okra. So the top, we can't do it. But for domestic, yes, we can.
Okay. Yes.
It looks like you are have to be financially strong in order to support what you are doing. But since you are exporting, how do you get paid? Do you ask for a letter of credit from your buyer? And how long does it take for you to negotiate the letter of credit? Because that is what the exporters are telling me. In the local market, they pay cash. But when you export, they have the LC, it has to arrive there, they have to inspect it, and before you can negotiate and get the proceeds of the LC, it might take about 1 month or more. On the other hand, you have your growers who have to be paid regularly. So that means that you might have to advance payment to them before you receive your payment from the LC.
Well, actually, our procedure, if you're a new buyer, you pay first before we ship. And then for our existing buyers, we get paid weekly. So what we ship this week is what will be get paid next week. So we're just a week advance.
Okay. If nobody else wants, just a closing comment, no? I think we have to emphasize this mindset on export. If you are an exporter, you are selling at the best standardized product instead of just selling to the local market. Because originally we have this concept of import substitution. That doesn't put us at the rigors and disciplines of the export market. Finland, the reason why Finland is such an industrialized country is 40% of its product is exported. They're really export oriented. If you're export oriented, you are up to the best standards, product standards worldwide, or else you cannot sell. And that's why that works back to your own production locally. You have to emphasize best production processes to be able to qualify for export. Okay?
One last point.
Okay.
Export.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Export. It is a big advantage. Kaya the farmers there or with contractors cannot find any other deal better than that because they get paid. Whereas if they try to sell at the local market, you don't know whether you can sell what you have and you may have end up with rotten produce. So that is why. And then also in our company, we earn so much from export. We export our activate carbon and even our green charcoal, and we get a good term because they pay you before we even produce. So very important yung balance. I think we are a net exporter. Important to balance between export and domestic. Very, very important.
Okay, good. Okay, anybody else? With that, we'll have to close. Before we close, I want to announce our next forum next week, June 25th. Topic is food security without rice. Food security without rice. Places countries that have no agriculture, like Hong Kong and Singapore, they are food secure. They don't produce any of their local food. Everything is imported, and yet they're food secure. With that, I will ask forget to make the presentation to yeah. Can you please go forward?